This is extraordinary. Will President Trump's strong-arm tactics get the other members to pony up the money required for membership? While we're waiting for the president, we bring in former Homeland Security Advisory Council member and Heritage Institute Foreign and Defense Policies Vice President James Carafano. And forgive me if I interrupt you, just to give a little color when the president does get off the plane. But we already have a bit of a bar fight over this issue. President Trump saying many NATO members' contributions miss the mark, while the European Council president says you better appreciate your allies. How do you expect this fight to play out over the next few days?
Well, first of all, let's dismiss the European Council. They're not an ally of the United States. They have no vote in this thing. NATO is a multinational organization, and the EU counts for zero. So his comments are completely preposterous, off the chart, and ridiculous. So let's start with Trump has a point here, and he has a point on both the economic and the security front, and they're linked. Part of the reason why these countries aren't paying 2% is their economies can't support it because they've diverted so much into the social programs and they've hamstrung their economy with so much baggage that they're not producing the wealth and to prepare for their own defense. And so Trump's been hitting them on both fronts. You've got to defend yourself and you've got to liberalize your economies like I'm trying to do in the United States so you get the economic growth and you can defend yourself. He's right on that score.
And First Lady Melania Trump accompanying President Donald Trump as he walks down the stairs to the ground, terra firma, in Brussels, Belgium. As we continue to watch this, James, I don't know, this battle reminds me almost of my childhood. I was expected to get straight A's, and my little brother in elementary school, Brooke, the darling, always got to skate through with a little bit less than that, and yet we both got the same amount of love and dinner. What is the point of a rule if everybody is not held to it? You know, this is my personal problem with the NATO situation, but at least countries like Romania and Estonia are trying to get there and in some cases have gotten there. What about the other bigger nations?
Well, you know, it is kind of laughable because this is not something the United States imposed upon NATO. This was a decision that was made by the countries of NATO on what the benchmark ought to be. So it's hilarious that they're complaining about the benchmark that they created. But in many ways, Trump's already run this debate, and I think the insanity over the meeting is way over the top. NATO, there's no great risk here. NATO's not at stake because but several countries are already on the path to getting the 2%.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You know, one of the most pressing issues for NATO is this faux border that Putin created between Russia and Ukraine when Russian-backed militants a couple of years ago invaded and bid off the Crimea region, a total outrage. That's the perfect symbol of what NATO wants to protect Europe against. Donald Trump meets with Putin on Monday and said this morning that the Putin meeting might be the easiest of the entire week. That's his quote. How do you interpret that comment?
I don't think any of these meetings are really all that big a deal. The reality is the Europeans get the message on burden sharing. They recognize they have to move in that direction. The president's made the point. There's a lot of positive things on the NATO agenda we're not talking about. The London meeting's kind of a nothing burger, and the meeting with Putin's really not going to accomplish anything other than the two leaders talking. So I think the hype way overbounds what's actually going to happen next week.
Well, the Ukrainian president sure wants to know what's going to happen in that room. Poroshenko has really been quite adamant, saying we will get Crimea back. Now, it's been several years already. It's almost as if things are solidifying, and that infuriates Ukraine and many others. You know, when we spoke to him both in Davos and here on the set when he was here for the United Nations meeting, General Assembly, he really feels that he's a good friend of President Trump's. Will President Trump raise that issue? Should he raise that issue?
Well, official U.S. policy is Crimea is part of the Ukraine. That policy is not going to change. There is absolutely complete bipartisan support in the Congress to support that position. I don't think, and even if the president wanted to do, he can't. So that's not going to change.
Just after 9 p.m. in Brussels, Belgium, and don't tell them, but France already scored 1 point in the World Cup semifinals. James, great to have your perspective. Thank you so much. And you can see that the president is in the caravan. Yes, go ahead.
Go Croatia. Yeah, go Croatia.
Croatia. Yeah, the real underdog.
Did we really pull? There you go. Right.
You just infuriated every United Kingdom viewer we have. But that's okay. Listen, root for whoever you want. We're going to keep our eye on this convoy of cars and the president heading probably to the hotel here, but we do need to tell you that